Excellent. Can everyone hear me? Good morning. Not only hear me, but I also hope you also have a picture of our first slide, which says Recovery Coach Roles in Preparation to Action. And it shows a picture that I developed of the Recovery Coach roles. Those 10 roles are critical to the work that we do. The role of motivator and cheerleader, ally and confidant, truth teller, co-problem solver, resource broker, lifestyle consultant, community organizer and connector, advocate, big A, advocate, small a, friend and companion, role model and mentor. Those are the roles that we play. Those are the roles that we perform in the work that we do. And this webinar will have a clear focus on the roles. Okay, someone's not seeing the video. What might be, can you hear me? Even though you're not seeing the video? Okay, I'm not sure what that's about. Stacy will make an effort to take. Oh, here goes some more people. Okay, we've got another person with, okay, the chart's there. Yep, the slide's there. Good morning, Nicole. Okay, follow along and hopefully, Stacy's pretty good at doing her magic. So, be on the lookout for any suggestions she may offer. We'll move ahead. We'll move ahead. I won't say slowly, but we'll move ahead at a pace that, hopefully people will catch up. Again, if you have a subscription, you can get the webinar after the fact. Well, I believe that, I believe that you don't have to be a paying member to see the content. I think you have to be a paying member or a subscriber in order to get a copy of the content or access previous webinars. Stacy will correct that. She'll give you that information. What I'll do, and I think I will go through each slide in enough depth so that those of you who may just be hearing at this point will get a sense of what's going on. Again, I love the images because we all learn in different ways, and offering the images is an opportunity to get people to think about these things, to see these things, and to capture their thinking around it. So we'll move ahead, but please, if you continue to have problems with the video, just make us aware of that, and we'll try to work on that and see what might or might not be going on. Okay, so again, welcome, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a piece that, when concepts come into my head, I love Google Images. And I will connect with Google Images. And a Google image that I connected with probably in the last, 7 or 8 months was one that says, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I'm a person who is in long-term recovery. And much of the ability to be in long-term recovery has been a process of preparation and moving into action. I'm also a grandfather. And part of the preparation that I see needing to happen is to prepare my grandchildren for life. I have a granddaughter who just graduated high school, and this summer will prepare her for that first year of college. I have a grandson who is moving into high school, and part of my responsibility is to prepare him. So when I took that concept of proper preparation prevents poor performance, my thinking about it became different because I came up with this piece: proactive preparation. Welcome, Stacy. Proactive preparation powers peak performance is how I've come to think about this. I think much after having co-facilitated Recovery Coach Academy for 10 years and seeing the last day of Recovery Coach Academy where people in probably about 20, 25 minutes maximum are given an opportunity to think about their ongoing professional development, I think there was a gap. And part of addressing that gap is the ability to address your performance as recovery coaches. You are responsible for what you do beyond the science that you gain in Recovery Coach Academy. Clearly, you're responsible. But I think we can do a better job, and we'll make an effort to do a better job of doing what I call Recovery Coach Performance Support. And this is one of those efforts to do that. If you see under that Soul Helps logo, that's what I do. I'm a social worker. And I spell the word SOULCIAL. And the soul in social work stands for strengths, overcoming unmanageability, and limitation. I'm also a helper, and help stands for a humble effort to learn or lend power. And I also act in that capacity. And the acts for me talk about assessment and awareness, coaching, teaching, and support. So if you look at under that logo, there's a piece that addresses what we're going to be doing today. Recovery coaching, performance support. Again, I'm looking to do probably more webinars on this concept. And actually, most of the webinars we've done to date really talk about, in my own way of thinking about it, talk about supporting your performance as coaches. Think about, I'm working on a piece right now to help my granddaughter to understand what it means to move into college, what it means to move from high school into a college experience. No one ever gave me that opportunity to think about that. I graduated from a school called Hopkins Grammar School, a college prep school, 6 years. I went there on scholarship. When I graduated from Hopkins, I was admitted to Yale University, and no one prepared me to move into Yale. No one prepared me relative to supporting my ability to have a peak performance in that opportunity. Many times we don't prepare our children for life on life's terms. How many of you were prepared to perform in life on life's terms? And much of what we do as coaches, and much of what we hope that you will engage in your ongoing professional development, also must embrace your ongoing personal development. So everything that we're going to talk about in this webinar applies to your efforts to help coachees and your efforts to develop professionally, but also everything that we're going to talk about is about you also in that same capacity, developing your role as a human being, developing your role as a helper, developing your role as a coach in recovery, developing your role as a parent, developing your role in society, and on and on and on. I've always believed that I got stuck in adolescence. And adolescence is that stage of life where we are asked to answer 3 questions. Who am I, i.e., what is my identity? Why am I, i.e., what is my purpose in living? And where am I going? What is my direction? Think about answering those 3 questions in the context of early recovery. Think about answering those 3 questions in the context of active addiction. Think about asking those 3 questions in the context of helping whoever you care for and care about, and you've got some gold that can be mined either for yourself or for others. I'm a firm believer that it's very difficult to bring to others what we haven't brought to ourselves. I'm also a firm believer that learning is finding out what you already know. Doing is demonstrating that you know it. And teaching is reminding others that they know just as well as you do. We are all learners, doers, and teachers. I've learned a lot about living life on life's terms, living recovery, and teaching and leading recovery. I'm a firm believer now that we don't, we either make the choice to live our lives or lead our lives. And so much of leading your life, so much of helping others to lead their lives is predicated upon proactive preparation that will power peak performance. That's a part of the empowerment that we do in the 10 components of recovery. A lot of the information that we bring you back to in these webinars pertain to what you learned in Recovery Coach Academy over those 5 or however many days that you spent there. Again, I co-facilitated that process for 10 years and appreciate the efforts that you make to take the passion that you come into learning about coaching recovery, learning about helping other people, and taking that passion and developing it into a power that works for you. So, and this is my power, 10, before I started doing Recovery Coach Academy, I was a substance abuse counselor. I was a clinician in a research project. I was a so-called therapist. But all of those experiences have evolved into what I do now. I learn, I do, and I teach recovery. I learn, I do, and I teach recovery coaching. And I would suggest that you do the same. So much of what you might learn today, or you might be reminded of in your learning today, much of the science that we'll talk about, teach it to another person. Share it with people you care about and you care for. At any point you may have a question or a comment, just type them in and I'll get to them. But otherwise, I'll move on. And again, I'm hoping that, that people will get the video. Stacy is typing. We'll get the video at some point. But again, I'm going to, I always make the honest effort to address all of your learning ways. And so many of you, the auditory learning will hopefully suffice. Let me just grab Stacy's comment before I move on. Gosh, we're 19 strong. Thanks for coming, folks. 9 o'clock in the morning and you're here. Stacy's typing. I'll get to what she's typing in a minute. I just talked about the science of coaching recovery. I also want to talk about the science of living recovery. I also like to talk about the science of living life on life's terms. Stacy reports you may need to log into another web browser, but if you're having issues, email me and I'll try to send out the PP while we're online. Yep, and everyone can see, as I try to relate earlier, you can come to see this for free. The issue becomes, in order to have a subscription, offers you an opportunity to tap into the resources of the webinars of the past, as well as this webinar. And again, folks, I'm not tooting the horn, but many of these PowerPoints, these webinars, have great value in your ongoing personal and professional development. Stacy and I have planned them that way, and I think everyone does that. And this one, we'll move on and see what we've got. This is one of my favorite circles. So when you talk about learning a science, learning how, something might be done, you develop that into your own art. And in the process of developing into your own art, you wonder. I have a grandson who taught me the concept of wondering. I remember when he was 4, 5, 6 years old, his way of beginning to get what he wanted or needed from Grandpa, he would say, "Grandpa, I was wondering." And it reintroduced me to the concept of wonder. It reintroduces me to the concept of curiosity. Again, folks, I'm going to constantly take you back to day 5, Recovery Coach Academy, or the last day of Recovery Coach Academy, when you were encouraged, when you were offered the opportunity to appreciate the importance of your ongoing professional, and I also add professional and personal development. How many of you have taken advantage of that? Many of you who are using these webinars, who do your ongoing training, your ongoing development and awareness of the science that you will take into your world and develop your art, are in this constant way of wonder and wondering. Call it what it is. I think the older I get, the more I wonder. The older I get, the more curious I get. And that's a good thing. So let's wonder about what is the coach's role in preparation to action. And this concept will come up again and again and again, because I want you to stay focused there. I want you to gather what we're sharing with you in this webinar, and yet I want you to make it your own. Learn, do, and teach. I always encourage people, once you finish this, go out and teach somebody what the major points of what you're taking away. Because when you teach something, you learn it twice. I believe that. So when we talk about the science that we're going to look at today, it's the stages of change, it's moving from preparation to action, and what are the recovery's tasks in that activity. The recovery's tasks in moving from preparation to action is to establish priorities, set goals for change, and develop a plan. Yeah, K. I'll call you K because I'm not sure what the K stands for. K Burns Power says, remain curious. Yeah, you ever notice? I find that when I'm curious, I'm less judgmental. And much of the judgments that I pass aren't necessarily on other people, it's many times on myself. So versus having self-doubt or judging myself harshly, I become more curious about who I am, and how I might be addressing something. Nicole speaks about meeting recoveries where they're at, how I can help them in their recovery, what recovery looks like for them, and practice empathy and be supportive. That's a very powerful message to pass early on, because when we look later at the model, the grow model that I want to share with you, it really speaks to that very well. And again, that's a piece of the science that we embrace in Recovery Coach Academy. So when you think about wonder and moving into developing your art, the question continues to be, what is your role in preparation to action? Think about that. Think about that and act on that. Questioning, curiosity, wonderment. That will help you to develop your art. I think as I move beyond Recovery Coach Academy and the 10 years that I've spent in helping to facilitate that process and learning from the people going through that process, my greater focus as I move into my years beyond that, as I continue to try to learn and grow, to share what I've learned, I'm really looking on how do I help people to develop their art? How does my own art continue to develop? And it does. I mean, folks, it's amazing. I've been doing the work for 38 years, and especially recovery coaching over the last 10 years. And in developing this particular webinar, I learned a whole lot about how to enhance, empower, as well as help your performance and my own performance and moving from preparation to action. I think it's a very powerful webinar. I like them all, but this one really helps me to appreciate where I'm going over the next several years as I help people to develop their art and my own art is sharpened and I teach what I'm learning. So stay tuned and stay around. The coach's role in preparation to action. The learning objectives are, as webinar viewers, you will be able to describe the role recovery coaches perform in helping recoveries transition from preparation to action. The last webinar that we did, and if you go back to the archives through your subscription, was the science of transforming people and transactions. It was helping us to think about the process of transformation and the fact that that's a transition process. My granddaughter is transitioning from high school senior to college freshman, from high school athlete to hopefully a college athlete, and more importantly, from older adolescence into a pre-emergence of young adulthood where she takes on more responsibility for herself. I am responsible and I am committed to the responsibility of helping with that transition. As people who help people, we help them in their transition processes as they transform. You'll be able to identify performance skills and strategies to empower recovery's abilities and motivation in transitioning from preparation to action. Performance skills that will help you to transform in your performance as coaching recovery. Excuse me. You'll be able to describe a very powerful model that I just discovered in preparing for this webinar called the GROW model. And it's a health performance strategy in supporting recovery's growth into action. And it's also a growth model, you'll see, that will help your own growth in your own personal and professional development. And it will help you to identify recovery tasks supporting recovery's growth into action. Remember this? This is a page from the Recovery Coach Academy Participants Manual. It's a piece from the piece that we did on the stages of recovery, and it looks at preparation. Just as a reminder, the stage of preparation is getting ready to change both specific behavior and attitude, intending to change soon, may have already increased self-regulation around the behavior, may be prepared to make small changes, may already be making small changes. The common characteristics of recoveries in those stages of preparation is they're intending to change their behavior, they're ready and committed to change, they're on the verge of taking action, they're engaged in a change process, and they're ready to make firm commitments. I did a research project years ago called Project Match, and I also did a research project with Yale University where I would facilitate people's involvement in 12-step programs by working with them on the first 3 steps. And first step says you came to first step says the fact that we're powerless over addiction in our lives and become manageable. The second step talks about came to believe, made a decision, came to believe the power greater in ourselves to restore us to sanity. And the third step says made a decision. Many times when I did these research projects, helping to facilitate people's involvement in 12-step programs, they got stuck after step 2. They struggle with making a decision, making the commitment to change. If you remember from Recovery Coach Academy and Phil Valentine, that was one of the greatest learnings that I had as I did the recovery, co-facilitated the process of Recovery Coach Academy with him, is as a recovery coach, folks, we work with people who are in the preparation stage. You may connect with people who are in those prior stages of contemplation, pre-contemplation, and the like. But clearly, it's a preparation that we have our greatest opportunity for impact. The recovery's task in moving from preparation to action is to establish their priorities, as Nicole talked about, meeting them where they're at, helping them to set goals for achieving their change, their goals that they set, and helping them to develop a plan for change. They develop a plan. When we look at this GROW model, you'll see it meets these. You'll see that it really embraces these. The piece that we were asked to do, and again, Stacy came up with the idea that people have been asking about how do we help recoveries move from preparation to action. The Recovery Coach Academy Participants Manual said to move from preparation to action, the recovery coach role is to strengthen the commitment to change and help develop an action plan and strategy to facilitate the desired change. How's that working for you? How are you doing with this particular recovery coach role? How much have you addressed it? How much have you practiced it? How much have you continued to grow and learn about it? Because that's a part of your professional development. And when you think about preparation to action, Recovery Coach Academy prepared you to take action as a recovery coach. It in many ways prepared you to take action on living what I believe is a clearly a critical part of our process, i.e. self-care. Have you prepared for self-care, and are you taking action on self-care? Are you prepared to coach recovery, and what has been your action in coaching recovery? So again, when you look at this preparation stage, not only does it apply to working with recoveries as they prepare their path to recovery, but also it's working with yourself and working with your own coach or your own sponsor and being able to embrace this role. You teach best what you most need to learn. So if you're going to teach recoveries how to move from preparation to action, learn it. Nicole says, practicing daily at work and at home, prepping Zoe for middle school, self-care, most important part of my role as a recovery coach, as well as your role as a parent, Nicole. You know, I'm working on a piece that helps us to think about the many roles that we play, the many roles that we perform, and the importance of preparing for these roles. Ariel says self-care is so important you have to take time for your own recovery. I believe that self-care is an ethical consideration. Think about that. And are you prepared to take care of yourself? Many of us aren't. I know as much as I have talked about self-care, especially over the 10 years in Recovery Coach Academy, in the space of those 10 years, my self-care relative to an eye problem that I have and now a heart problem that I have demonstrate that as much as we might teach this to another human being, are we taking it on for ourselves? You know, and I'm not embarrassed to share that piece because I'm doing much better with it. But folks, you know, that's the proactivity that I suggested earlier. Kay talks about recently committing himself and a number of his coaches to a deeper meditation practice. Yeah, really noticing an increasing energy, you know, helping people to plan what works for them. So how do you help recoveries transition from preparation to action? One of the ways you help is you do it yourself. You make your own transitions from preparing with the science of coaching, self-care, ethical considerations, motivational interviewing, and on and on and on. It's an ongoing opportunity to improve your performance. Self-care is an ethical consideration. Talk about development. This is an ongoing development. Yes, it is, because stuff happens. And our self-care circle contains many components. And some of those components we take better care of than others. So much like everything, folks, the ongoing personal and professional learning, doing, and teaching what you're learning is critical in our efforts to develop ourselves as helpers and to develop ourselves as human beings who help well. So we're going to start this piece on your role. What are the coach's roles in helping recoveries transition from preparation to action? Same question. What are the coach's roles that may be helpful in a recovery's transition from preparation to action? Ask yourself that. Think about that. Be clear on that. And when you leave this webinar, and hopefully you'll get a copy of it, and you'll continue to look at it and think about it. Folks, the other piece of this is that every slide in this webinar I share with recoveries. It's a way of me helping them to think about how I intend to help them. And especially with this new piece that I've added called the GROW model, it's an opportunity for them to get a sense of where we're going in their process. If we don't know where we're going, we can get lost. It's like a roadmap. This is a diagram that I developed, and it's amazing. I developed this before I began to have my issues with my own heart, but heart has always been a powerful concept in my thinking and in my helping. Ajahn speaks about the fact that the way of the caretaker is to pay attention to it as heart and meaning for the people that I'm helping and care about and care for, as well as myself. When we pay attention to its heart and meaning for another human being, we're meeting them where they're at. We're truly being a caretaker. We are passing love and care on. So that heart has great significance, especially now for me. What are the coach's roles that might be helpful in recovery's transition from preparation to action? This circle shows 10 roles. This shows recovery coach roles and functions. I've got 7 of them. All 10 roles can apply. But think about it in the context of helping a person transition from preparation to action. You're a motivator and a cheerleader. You're an ally and you're a confidant. Actively listening, stable and consistent, trustworthy. Motivator and cheerleader motivates, encourages, celebrates, believes in their capacity for change. We're a truth teller. We provide honest and helpful information. We offer suggestions. We help to identify patterns of behavior. We don't sugarcoat things. We're a role model and mentor in the sense that we offer our own life as an example of healthy living. Live that healthy living life so that you can share more. Shows how we walk the talk. We provide stage appropriate recovery information and education. We're a problem solver. We identify potential problems in areas. We help recovery from problem solve. We don't tell the recovery the right way, but help the recovery with options. We're not judgmental. In that vein, we are very curious as we help recovery solve problems. We're not curious. We're not judgmental. We're not telling them what we would do. We're a resource broker. We provide linkages to recovery community, treatment, and other supports. We know the systems of care and how to navigate those systems of care. We've established contacts and recovery partnerships in our community. And most importantly, we're a lifestyle consultant. We offer feedback on recovery lifestyle. We ask the question, how's that working for you? And we focus on recovery, wellness, and care. And we discuss healthy choices. Recovery coach roles and functions that I think have the greatest application in our role in helping recoveries move from preparation to action. Again, folks, learning is finding out what you already know. You know this. Doing is demonstrating that you know it. Do that. And teaching is reminding others that they know just as well as you do. We're all learners, doers, and teachers. The stages of change. So help acts that change people's lives. Take a look at this diagram for a minute. I've got somebody knocking on my door that Diane's still in bed. Yeah, and I'm actually working on a webinar right now, so I'm doing much better, thank you. Okay, thanks. Have a good day. Okay, I'm back. Not a bad moment to take a break. It was, someone coming by to make a connection with my wife, who's just not available right now. This is a piece that I did on the stage of change that really, again, folks, these are images that I share with recoverees. When we think about preparation, I'm ready for change. And we think about action, I'm learning how to change. So the preparation takes a person to a place where they're learning how to change. Folks, I'm 39, almost 40 years into my process of recovering, my long-term process of recovery, and I'm still learning how to change. You know, when I embrace the concept of being, yeah, I'm always learning, Ariel. I'm a learner, I'm a doer, and I'm a teacher. As I embrace the reality of me being a heart failure patient, it was a part of me continuing to learn how to change and grow and recover. So, when I think about what I do, I help change. I help change processes. How do you help recoveries transition from preparation to action? So much of that movement from preparation, which says, I'm ready for change, to action, which says, I'm learning how to change. Folks, that's a key piece. We're learning how to change. We're in an ongoing process of learning how to be, learning how to live, learning how to lead our lives, learning how to love our lives, learning how to love others. It goes on and on and on, thankfully. This is another image that I developed years ago before Recovery Coach Academy. And again, there goes that heart right in the middle of everything. And that heart represents a humble effort to learn power. That heart represents change and growth. And I put it in to help us to think about when we move from contemplation, and this is the this is the stages of change, and it are the rectangles, and the ovals are what I do, helping people to move. I do moving from those stages of change into the next stage. And moving from contemplation to preparation, I would challenge people about letting help, identifying their care options, planning their care activity, and their self-care. And then when they move into preparation, I'm helping them think about you make concrete plans to change your behaviors. You think about changing your thinking. You're not totally convinced that you need to change. The questions are, is change possible? And is it worthwhile to change? And I know I need to change, but how do I change? That's a preparation. In that preparation stage, there's support that's needed. I call them assertive care teams. We call them self-help groups, families and fellowships, spiritual religious connections, environment and culture plays a part. And that moves a person to action and activity, which is doing something to change, changing behavior, changing behavior, thinking relationships and surroundings. I'm working on change. I'm learning about change. This image was what I began to think about as I began to think about not only my helping other people, but helping myself in this process. And again, I share with you as another way to look at preparation to action and activity and the support that that takes. And so much of that support is our support as recovery coaches. How do you help recoveries transition from preparation to action? I take a closer look at that piece so you can see a better picture of it. And in the midst of that is coach support. We act to support the process. So, all those levels of support that are there, there's also coach support. And in that coach support, we're really helping people with their thinking. Coaching is helping people with their thinking. Even before Recovery Coaching and Recovery Coach Academy, I always felt that one of the things that was a part of my efforts to help other people was to get them to think about things in a way they may not have thought about them before. And that puts people in a position to take action on their lives, action that their thinking has produced, not my thinking. And again, so much of a process of recovery is about changing the way we think, which changes what we do and changes how we are. Moving into what I think is a very powerful and valuable piece of the work that we're doing. And before I move into the grow model of coaching, any questions, thoughts, or comments so far? Is this helpful? Anything that needs to be clarified? Again, I'm moving along fairly quickly, but again, please take advantage of your subscription. It offers you an opportunity to get this 19-page PowerPoint and absorb it at your own pace. Show it to groups of people that you're helping or who you are helping to help, who are part of your own supervision of how to help. Love it. We walk alongside and help people work it out for themselves. Yeah. We're moving with them. We're helping. In many ways, we're about a half a step to a step behind them as they guide us through their process, as they guide us through their pathway. And again, this GROW model really speaks to that well. And the GROW model speaks about what we talk about, helping people to prepare a plan, people preparing a plan, identifying goals that are smart and objectives that are smart that will move that plan along. So simply put, the GROW model is goal, reality, options, and way forward. We help people establish their goal, they examine their reality, they explore and review options, and their plan of action is a way forward. We're going to get lots more detail to this concept. But again, folks, I learned a lot from developing this webinar. And the biggest part that I've learned, and I will continue to grow in my own personal and professional development, is this GROW model of coaching or GROW model of living, this GROW model of leading life. The GROW model helps preparation to action. Preparation is about making a goal, making the goal realistic based upon the reality we're living in, looking at the options to begin to achieve that goal, and the action on that goal is to move a way forward. Yeah, the options and the reality embraces recovery capital and the execution of recovery capital. The execution of recovery capital is the action. And the action is fueled by the preparation that, we're constantly reminded of relative to making sure we have recovery capital to move forward. Thanks, Nicole. Coaching is helping people with their thinking. This is a way to help a recovery with their thinking. Under preparation, we can put recovery capital development, and that helps to fuel the goal that addresses the reality, that embraces options, and that helps to move forward into action. Such a powerful process, this GROW model. The GROW model was developed in the 1980s by Fine, Whitmore, and Graham Alexander. It's a simple abbreviation for 4 stages of decision making. It's a process, a simple method for goal setting and problem solving in coaching. Isn't that what preparation is about and what action is about? These are skills and strategies, preparation for yourselves that help you to embrace a way of improving your performance as a helper. It's a framework for structuring coaching conversations. It really, as we look at this, it's a nice concept of helping us to build good questions. But it also moves the conversations along, and the conversation structure that it offers are conversation that puts the recovery and meets them where they're at and puts them in the director's chair. It's a model for both tapping and focusing the human potential. It's a performance model, and I bolded that because, again, recovery, coach, performance, support is what is at the forefront of my thinking, is at the forefront of my professional and personal development at this point. It's what I feel I want to learn and do and teach to leave lessons that have been powerful. So performance model, this GROW model is another tool, another piece of science that, 30, almost 40 years into my own process, I'm learning. It assumes the coach is not an expert in the client situation. And the GROW model coach acts as a facilitator, helping the client select the best options while not offering advice or direction. Isn't that what we learned in Recovery Coach Academy? This would fit well in Recovery Coach Academy. It fits well in Recovery Coach Academy. It's an opportunity to embrace a model that helps us to perform the role of recovery coaches. It's a performance model, and I'm going to use it in this way. I'm going to improve on it, and we're going to, at some point, we'll hopefully have a fuller webinar on it. GROW model is a way of thinking about the GROW model is to think about how you'd plan a journey. Isn't that what recoveries do in planning for their goals? First, you decide where you're going, i.e. the goal, and you establish where you currently are, i.e. your current reality. You then explore various routes, the options to your destination. And in the final step, establishing the will, you ensure that you are committed to making the journey and are prepared for the obstacles that you can meet on the way. Share this with the recovery and see what they do with it. A way of thinking about your recovery is to think about how you plan your journey of recovery. And in that journey, there are multiple pathways. And in those multiple pathways, it is the recovery who will establish their goal, look at their current reality and be able to reach those goals, identify the multiple pathways to meet that goal and to address that goal, and then summon the will and the commitment through motivational interviewing, through ongoing encouragement, through ongoing work with you as their helper to make their way. The GROW model, I'm going to run through these images, and these images build on themselves. Again, I love it. The management tool for problem solving and development. The GROW model is goals, identify objectives, long-term and short-term, and identify. I prefer to think about SMART objectives versus SMART goals. Help people to develop SMART objectives that are both long-term and short-term. The GROW model reality is the current situation and finding the positive aspects, helping recoveries to identify their strengths, helping them to identify what's going right and what they've done well, the positive aspects of the reality. It's a focus on what's working versus what's not working. It's helping them look at their options, their choices, their strategies, their possibilities, their multiple pathways, their multiple care opportunities. And the GROW model, what is what will be done? When will it be done? Who will do it and by when? And is there the will to do it? Isn't that what planning is about? Isn't that what recovery planning is about? What are you going to do? When will you do it? And who will support you in doing it? Folks, this GROW model fits recovery coaching to a T, as you will see. The recovery coach role in preparation to action, coaching using GROW. Goal, and again, this PowerPoint, this webinar was developed in relation to a question on helping recovery coaches to identify their role in preparation to action. Here it is. The goal, your role is to help recoveries clarify the goal, to make the goal a SMART goal with SMART objectives, long-term and short-term. Spins onto the reality. The coach's role is to help recoveries understand what is happening now and gain insight and awareness related to what's happening now. It's hard to get somewhere if you don't know where you are. Options. Your role is to help recoveries find what is possible, the realm of possibilities, to help them in that appreciating what is possible is to generate and assess their options. That helps to generate and assess a pathway of recovery that works for them. And the coach's role is to help them define their way forward. The role is to help recoveries to find a way forward and to commit to their best actions in moving this way forward. Yeah. Agreed. SMART objectives, the desired learning outcome. And in that desired learning outcome, being open to that outcome, yet not attached to that outcome, is the way to wisdom and knowledge. Works well. Again, folks, I share this with recoverees. They get a sense of where we're going. It's a part of their own personal roadmap to their way forward. Oh, I love this stuff. GROW, your role at each stage. Again, what is your role? As a coach, your role is to clarify the goal, help coaches to set and share their goals, help the recovery to set clear goals and identify what they would like to achieve. Agree areas for discussion in this session. Your role is to help them to understand what is happening now to gain insight. Let them tell their story. Help them to get a clear picture of what's actually happening, when it happens, and what the effects are, and what they have tried to do about it so far. Clarify the issue or situation, determine the current impact, determine future implications, identify a self-assessment, provide a... Folks, this is helping you to shape contacts and connections and sessions you have with recoverees as a way of understanding what your role is throughout the process. I'm glad that you like it, Lucia. I think it's invaluable. I mean, again, folks, I've been doing this work for years, and this brings it all to a funnel for me. This is what I've been doing for years. Learning is finding out what you already know. I know this. This just gives me an opportunity to share it with a wider audience, especially recoverees. Oh, help them to find out what is possible. Generating options, assessing options, helping the recovery to describe an ideal outcome. That's their visioning, folks. That's their visioning. You know, without a vision, there's no way forward. It's encouraging exploration of a range of ways this may be helpful to be achieved. Brainstorming options, assessing the pros and cons of those options. Coaching is about helping the recovery find a way forward. We only offer our ideas after the recovery has pushed them hard to come up with their own. After, so we bring our ideas to the fore after we have pushed them hard to come up with their own ideas. And the W, help recoveries determine a way forward and commit to their best actions. Convert the discussion to a decision. Help the recovery to make an argument for their recovery process. Motivational interviewing at its best. Help the recovery determine a way forward. Help them to identify possible obstacles to overcome. Work out what they are actually going to do and work out what support they need. It's helping them to develop their plan. Hard not to direct when they are in jeopardy. Yeah, but that's where the way to wisdom is to pay attention to what is heart and meaning for the recovery while not being attached to the outcome. I enter so many of the situations where they seem to be in jeopardy with a curiosity that I share with recoveries on how they might embrace a way out of being in jeopardy. It's about lending curiosity and lending an opportunity to discover and offering an opportunity to wonder versus worrying. Coaching model, classic coaching questions. Again, third leg of the stool, asking good questions. Under goal, think about these as good questions. What problem are you trying to resolve? What can we work on that would make a big difference for you? What do you want to achieve from this conversation? Reality. So what's happening now? What have you done about it so far? How is this impacting you? How is it impacting others? And how does this make you feel? If things don't change, what is likely to happen? What are the key barriers to improving this situation? Under options, good questions are. What would the ideal outcome look like? What difference would this make? What ideas do you have to achieve this? What else could you try? Who else could give you another perspective? What actions have you taken in similar situations? What are the pros and cons of these options? What options are you most drawn to? If the preferred option isn't possible, what will be the next best thing to do? When you talk about it's hard to direct when they are in hard not to direct when they're in jeopardy, these options questions offer an opportunity not to direct, but to get them to get curious, to wonder, and to problem solve. And the wrap up, what do you think is the best next step? What is the smallest thing you could do to move forward? What are you going to do? And when are you going to do it? What obstacles might you face? How might you overcome them? Who needs to know and what support might they need? What is the best ways to follow up on this? Love these good questions. I got 4 minutes, I think, left. I'm not sure. Can you still hear me? Are we still on? Yes. Again, folks, I've got 4 minutes on my clock. At some point the webinar will stop. Any thoughts or questions? The key for me is I hope this was helpful. Glad that it's helpful, Lucia. Good to hear from you. Good that you're here. I'm appreciative of 22 Strong at 9 o'clock in the morning for a webinar. Thank you. Oh, please download it and continue to think about it and work about it and work on it. I'm at soulhelp@me.com. Let me write that. SOULHELP at me.com. Please engage me. Share with me what you're learning. As I mentioned earlier, share with another human being, your biggest takeaways from this, and you'll learn it twice. And hopefully you'll help another human being. That's my email. Share with me what you're learning so that I can continue to grow and learn as well. What are your takeaways? What's working for you? And what's helpful in this information? That will help Stacy and I to move forward. Thank you, Lucia. Absolutely. I love the reminder to help them play out their options and the steps that they will want to take to reach their goal and to help to make them strong. You can download it, Reverend Phil, by having a subscription with CCAR. You know, Stacy had typed that in earlier. Contact Stacy and her crew at CCAR, and they will give you an awareness of the subscription. With the subscription, not only will you be able to get a copy of this, but you'll also get a copy of the past webinars that we've done in the library. I don't know. Check it out, Kay. You're welcome, Reverend Phil. Thanks for coming, folks. Be well. You know, I'm doing much better every day. You know, again, I'm on October 1st. I had something called a HeartMate installed that's really improved the quality of my life to the fact that I've not been rehospitalized as I'm waiting for my heart transplant. So, and you know, this is another step in my own process forward. And believe me, folks, a lot of what I've learned in recovery from my addiction to alcohol and stress has helped me in this process of living with heart failure. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and I appreciate you all. And enjoy your day, and keep learning and growing and teaching. I intend to, Stacy. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Phil. You're welcome, Tammy. Hope it helps. Thanks, Stacy.